Hello, 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 friends. We are back.
What's up? Ooh,
Oh,
excited.
I'm so excited. Well, you know what? It's actually kind of bittersweet, though.
Okay.
Because it's the last episode of the season.
Already,
friend.
There's been 8 episodes.
Yes, we're starting our 8th
Oh my
episode.
God.
We had a baby together.
We did
Oh my God! And for those who can't see us, we did just hug. And we had a girly moment. Get your minds out the gutter. My name is Holly Chanel.
And I'm Melanie Lauren. Please come on up. Come on up a little higher with us.
And this is Dipped with Sweet and Hot. We have a momentous episode for you on today.
This very evening.
We're going to do things a little bit differently. We usually start with our sweet and our hots. And this episode specifically is going to be super sweet.
Very, very sweet.
Because we have a men's panel, y'all.
Oh, yes.
A
brothers are in the room.
A black men's panel.
Live and in color. Everybody's a couple feet away.
Listen, unfortunately, we forgot to send out the uniform requirements. Only one showed up in gray sweatpants.
Only one.
I
don't know what everybody
Only
else.
one.
Some things just don't need to be said.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. But here we are. Nonetheless. So
we appreciate you.
So yeah, that's what's sweet about this episode, and the conversation is sure to be hot. So we are going to introduce our panelists. I'm gonna start.
Talk to your left. We're gonna let these fine gentlemen introduce themselves.
Yes. Now, ladies, listen, ladies, sit down if you are not already. We have some voices in the room. Okay. So I'm telling you right now. Gird your loins. Right now. All right, sir, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's going on, good people?
See, didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you?
My name is Lorenzo Rush, the Junior. Is that all you need, or what else you need?
Well, tell the people about yourself. Who are you? What you do?
Bit,
you know?
I am an actor, director, voiceover actor, father. Yeah, I'm an all-around artist, and that's just kind of what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And friend to Melanie Lauren.
Yes.
And Holly as well. We new friends.
How you
doing?
Hey, well, how you doing? That is not the one with gray sweatpants on, okay?
Just in case you were wondering.
Just in case you were wondering. Next, friend.
Yeah, all right. So, they got me all the way off guard out here. This is Olumiji Jones. Just call me BG. Was recently moved back to Chicago. Director of sales at a couple of companies. Trying to make the transition back out to the West Coast, and happy to be here.
Director.
We're hanging on to him as long as we can.
As long as we can.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to say, Miji, I'm going to say this right now publicly. I love you.
As do I.
And thank you for all the years of putting up with my shenanigans.
Appreciate y'all, too.
Okay, love you. And last, but certainly not least, we have a new friend in the building. Sir, please
but
introduce yourself.
Right in.
Fit right on in.
I'm Manny Johnson. I would also like to say we all have on sweatpants, just not gray.
I'm glad you made that clarification.
I am a community influencer, and I usually don't do these podcasts, but Holly contacted all of my elementary school and high school teachers to get in contact with me, so I'm here.
Listen,
we appreciate you for being so.
We do,
and some people out of the woodwork.
I did.
Now, if it's one thing you need to know about my friend, she is resourceful. I'm not surprised at all that she dug way down into your files and records to reach you.
So I will tell you this, friends: if you don't want Holly to find you, don't tell me that we have mutual friends, because I went on Facebook and found all of our mutuals, and I contacted every last one of them because I knew, but see, you're not sorry that you're here
at all.
I listened to episode 2, whichever, the hanky panky one.
And
it was about your investigative skills.
I was concerned the reason I don't have any social media. I don't have any type of online footprint at all for that reason.
Because of people like Holly?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I will say I'm as close to a amateur white hat hacker I don't do it. It's not nefarious. Like, I don't.
I mean, usually you use your powers for good.
Ethical hacking?
It's ethical hacking.
Is that
yes.
a new term?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know, I worked in cybersecurity
Okay.
for a spell.
Ethical hacking.
Yeah, I did.
We can spend anything. That's wonderful.
Anything at all. So the reason why we have our men on, because, you know, throughout the season, we have brought you a Black women's perspective on adulting.
Because that's who we are.
Listen,
we're grown Black women.
We're grown as hell. And so we thought we'd let our gentleman friends kind of weigh in on some of the things that we've talked about this season.
Yeah.
So, like, what were some... First of all, I want to know, have all of you have listened to at least 1 or 2 episodes of the podcast? Okay, do you have a favorite episode? One that sticks out in your mind?
Most impactful.
Yeah.
Let's call it that.
So I worked in cybersecurity. I spent some time at the National Security Agency. I think I can say
come on,
that.
NSA.
Right. So I'm very hypervigilant around security things, right? So with the whole like doing background checks, I'm just like, you know, I have gotten several background checks done to do all kind of things, right? So I have nothing to hide, but it's just like, hey, this is, you know, trust but verify, but it's just, you know, so that did spark some
interest for you.
Some emotion out of me.
Okay, so
he was triggered.
You triggered a little bit.
He was triggered.
He said spark some emotion.
Yeah.
That was kind of a euphemism.
Yeah.
So, okay, let me ask you about that, though, because if you heard about her investigative skills, that means you heard about who she was investigating. The person who was the subject of her investigation.
Oh, Lord, here we go.
And, are you grunting already?
No, I just looking for my drink.
But that's also why it stirred up, right, the emotion, right, because validity, right, because it's like you looked and found something, right, because there was something to be found, but, you know, it's just like, dang, yo, I mean, does anybody get the benefit of the doubt?
Well, so here's the thing. Okay, so let's catch everybody up. Let's catch everybody up just so we know what we're talking about.
I can't wait because I had something to say.
Okay, so listen. So you were talking about the guy that I was dating that she was doing the deep dive on, right? So we talked about that in what episode? We definitely talked about it in episode 3.
Yeah.
But we talked about it in episode 1.
Right.
I was saying, like, dating wasn't trash.
I said dating was trash.
You said dating was trash.
Yes.
I said it wasn't because I had a really good day with this guy.
Yes.
And then, I mean, spoiler alert, fast forward to episode 3, we find out I shared that he lied about a very big part of his life.
He lied about being a pastor.
He lied about being a pastor.
It's quite ridiculous.
Well, thank you for the agreement there.
Well, yeah, so this is why. So let's start there. I think we all know this story. You either heard it on air or I told it to you in person. So what are our thoughts? What are our thoughts about this situation? I'm assuming everyone agrees with me, but I could be wrong.
I mean, overall, the guy sounds insane. Like, I mean, you are a whole pastor, and it's all on YouTube and all on social media and stuff like that. So it was a silly lie, especially with you being a Christian and a child of God, and that's not being. I don't see why that's a problem. And why is it something you hiding? What are you trying to? It didn't make any sense to me. So yeah, he sounded a little bit off to me. So
I feel like Deion Cole when he has his list. Like, okay, check that one off.
Well, and also, if you don't mind, I'm gonna tell the people because I talked to Lorenzo about this one-on-one. Lorenzo, I love my friend.
Yes, absolutely.
He has so many wonderful characteristics, and one of them is sometimes a little petty. Just a little petty. And Lorenzo told me, he was like, oh, you should show up on Sunday.
With a big old hat on, looking like the first lady that he wanted you to be.
Center.
And just fall out in the spirit on the front row. Pastor, come help me, please. I need to be prayed for.
So the one question I did have, I don't remember all the details on it, was like, did you told him about like who you were, your upbringing, like who your
Yeah, because that was like, so the fact that we both attended church regularly was a point of like commonality from the beginning. Did I make that word up? If I did, y'all know what I meant.
Commonality,
but like
good, yeah.
that was mutual. That was shared from the beginning. It was a point of connection
because they met in their church clothes.
Right, I remember that. So my whole thing with that is like the fact that you are PK, and I mean, I'm not, but I feel like that community overall is relatively small.
Right.
So by default, at some point in time, somebody was going to recognize somebody that was going to be like, hey, this dude isn't who he say he is type thing. So for me, it's just kind of like, why would you
go down this road?
What possessed you to
like
actually...
if you go to the website, he should be on there like, hey.
No, and he is. That's the crazy part. So that's the crazy thing. He freely told me from the beginning the name of the church, what city it was in. Like, it takes 2 seconds to pull up a video of him preaching online.
Played in your face a little.
He played in my face a lot.
Unless he was just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, so why am I wrong
Yeah, I'm still
for
inside
finding
background
the information? I literally...
Because you didn't have to do all that.
But who said you was
just had to-
wrong?
Manny was triggered a little bit.
I don't think you were wrong. I think it's just a little scary. That's about at within less than 30 seconds, you were able to get this man's social security number, his driver's license number, his blood type, and his entire
You
history.
need to get LifeLock.
Hey, LifeLock, you heard that?
Are you
didn't
listening? Are you
Are you
You
listening?
need to pay that extra fee on experience. them dark web.
And so that was the question I had. I was like, did you want me to find out? Like, this is so easily. And if you wanted me to find out, why do we go through this whole exercise in futility? Like, what?
I mean, so for me, like, I think it's two ways though. Like, I don't necessarily think you were in the wrong, but at the same time, if I didn't want you to know that about me,
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason. I'm in this new space where I'm trying to like think about it from everybody's perspective. So if I was a star,
It's
an
called
athlete,
empathy.
right? If I was a star, an athlete, or somebody like extremely wealthy,
Sure.
at that point, I want to know that you were around me for who I am as a person, not because of like all this other stuff. So I feel like it could have been that, but at the same time, a man of God, like I don't know that you would lie about that.
Being a man of God, right? It just doesn't go together. So
Listen,
that was my
if
thing.
he was rich, I'd be like, girl, you better get. We'll play dumb. I will play dumb.
I won't be, and I said this earlier. All due respect to my parents, whom I love, and all the other pastors and first ladies that I know. That's not a life I'm chasing. To me, the unfortunate part about this, many unfortunate parts, but like, if he had gotten to know me a little bit, he would have known he had nothing to worry about. If that had been his concern, that I was in it for the wrong reasons, that I was chasing some kind of status or position or something like that, he would have known he had absolutely nothing to worry about for me. Because, I like I said, y'all can have that.
All right, so fellas, I got a question. What is the most egregious lie you told a chick?
Yes.
What is the most...
Good one.
I feel like I'm not gonna remember that because I tried to purposely block it.
Listen, I want everybody to know that as soon as I finished that question, Manny took a healthy sip.
I'm so far removed from that time in my life. I just
Right. Yeah.
I love... Go ahead, Lorenzo.
I plead the fifth.
Reach back some years, fellas.
Well,
They not giving it up.
I spent some time overseas, and I'm above average height, so I've been several mid-level basketball players. I had a cousin who was in the military. He told folks he was Scottie Pippen. His head was bald. So
Hey.
I ain't go that.
He said, I've been several.
Several. Fair enough.
I hear you. Lorenzo, you ain't got nothing?
I think I told one young lady that I was in the Army and I was getting ready to ship out. And, I just it needed to be now or never. Go serve
Boy, it was a clock
my
tick.
country and planted that flag.
And she
right,
said,
right
thank
there.
you for your service.
No, thank y'all for her service.
You served that country. I appreciate you using it. I'm glad it got somebody.
I almost forgot about this when I was in Vegas and I met like a group of dudes like a little bit later. Like I landed probably like midnight, met them outside the club at like 1 a.m.
Is this one of those infamous...
No, it wasn't. It wasn't like that Miami trip where I was missing for like 36 hours. But, yeah, I got some stories. But I think the most egregious lie was I pulled up and they were coming out the club and somehow they were coming out with some chicks and the next thing I know it was like, oh yeah, no, this our dude Miji. He's one of Chris Brown's backup dancers.
Miji put that. He
I
said.
just ran with it for the whole weekend.
He said, footwork in 5,
4, 3, 2.
Run it.
question?
I almost forgot about that one. But yeah.
So, is it safe to say all three of you are currently single or dating?
In a relationship.
Yeah.
Everybody's unmarried.
Listen, the stuttering.
Okay.
So whoever they are stuttering about, we're not starting no trouble, friends. Okay?
We really are not.
My question is, now that you all are looking for more substantive relationships, right? So we.
Or are you? Let's not make assumptions.
Let's go with the question, and then we can.
So I wanna bring up another episode that we had where we talked about cohabitation.
Oh yes, your house or mine.
Your house or mine,
Mm-hmm.
where Shirley Ralph and her husband were finally gonna be in the same place for the bulk of time, as opposed to being bi-coastal and seeing each other bi-weekly for the last 20 years. Now, Melanie was of the opinion that, I need my husband with me. Holly was
And let me clarify, not all the time, because I travel for work, and that's fine. But I'm just saying I wanted to call home base the same place.
Fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Holly is of a mind that might actually have cracked the code to successful marriage. How do you all feel about cohabitating with life partners? Wives, girlfriends, whatever you want to call it.
So I'll actually listen to this episode today.
on the Uber ride over here.
On the way.
Right? I've had conversations with female friends about just very thing, and my opinion is everybody's going to be different there. Some people, me personally, I need space. Like I've become so independent in how I move that like when I want to see you, I want to see you. After that, I want my time apart. And for me, like that just works and it helps bring things closer. But I also know people who are still struggling with certain things from their past that say, if you're not forced to be in this household with me, and I still see you on a consistent basis, that makes me feel like you want me to be a part of your life versus have to be a part of your life.
Ooh.
Right? So I think like these types of things, I always, again, while I'm trying to be empathetic, like I always try to figure out like, what is it that's driving? And I think Lewis, you guys had him kind of speaking on it as well, right? And he hit on a couple things to me that were really important where it was more about if you guys aren't seeing eye to eye on certain things, it's because somebody isn't understanding where that other person is coming from in order to be able to either make a decision, meet in the middle, or continue down that same path. So that's just my take on it.
Okay, all right. Thoughtful. There's a lot of therapy in that answer. Awesome. Applause. I love growth.
Yes.
It would not have been me 2 years ago.
We know.
I mean, approaching it from a different angle, right? I'm a non-custodial parent, right? So in my mind, one of the only things I wanted to provide for my daughter is a safe haven that's hers, right? So I have my own space, right? Also, I know a lot of black men who the first time they moved out of their mama's house or their parents' house is in with some woman, right? And I didn't want that to be my experience, right? So when I was out on my own, I wanted to have my own, right?
Correct.
But also, there's a big piece of, like, I don't ever want to have, if my daughter ever had to come stay with me full time, ever want, whatever it is, I'm never going to have a conversation with anybody other than her mother. And if you're living with somebody, whether I own whatever it is, we got to discuss, and whether it's always going to be yes, I don't feel like I'm going to ever put myself in a position where somebody can be like, well, have we considered when it comes to my daughter? Right. So, once again, maybe after she's 18, well, that's going to be fiction in my household. Right. Worst come to worst, I can leave this. I own this. You can have it. Right. I can go somewhere else, right? But this always going to be hers. I had a good friend, a mentor, tell me that, like, no matter where you go, keep this place for your daughter, because especially for women, one of the biggest issues they may encounter in their life is housing insecurity, and you don't want her to have to feel like she got to stay with some dude just to have a place to stay.
Listen, I can attest, and if it wasn't for family and friends, when I needed to start making some life decisions about my marriage, I probably would have stayed in a bad situation. And yeah, you're absolutely right. That is very insightful.
That was a different perspective on it, for sure, wanting to make sure that you have the autonomy over your space and that you don't feel comfortable having to share that decision making and owning that. What say you, Lorenzo?
Well, I do know that 34% of marriages of people who live together before marriage break up. Those marriages break up. Versus 24% of them who didn't live together before marriage break up. And 65% of relationships that that weren't married, that cohabitated together, end up breaking up. So I think there's something to be said about that. To your point, I wouldn't want to live. I don't want to live with. I want my own. And I think she should have her own as well. And there should be, if we can't individually have our own lives, have our own property, have our own money and situations going on, then that says something about us individually. That's something we need to work on. So yeah, I'm a person where like I got mine, you got yours, and if we get to that place where we are talking about marriage and life together, then we'll have that kind of conversation. Of course, my marriage will be in the same house. That's of course what I want. But yeah, I don't need to live with nobody, and I don't need nobody living with me.
Amen. And I say now, I'm gonna ask this question for my friend and for me, because I do believe in that episode that we agreed on the she shed, or
that's where I landed.
Yeah,
I'm very clear on my needs.
Yeah.
Yes.
So would you be okay with her having a she shed and her own space?
Explain to me what that is again.
It's like it's a woman's version of a man cave.
So what I
In
said.
my home?
Yeah. Well.
In our home?
Honey, in our home.
Oh, in our home.
In our home. So
I thought you were talking about like my girl that I'm talking to is, she want to spank my own
No.
space.
Like if we were married, would it be okay for you? Like if your wife needed to have her own space in your wall's house.
This is her house.
That's what I'm saying. This your house too.
I mean, you want it.
I mean, you can have whatever you need in your house. It's your house.
I mean, and this is how I feel. So I think I agree. I honestly feel like that's a good middle road.
It is.
Like it's a place, and it's not going to be for everybody, but for me. And I said in the episode that I feel like part of my stance on this comes from the fact that I grew up as an only child. So I grew up having my own space. So I totally relate to people who feel like they need their own space and they don't want to be around somebody else 24/7. With that being said, though, I still want to feel connected to my partner. And I think that for me, that means calling the same place home, even if we have to spend time apart.
Right.
But yeah, I'm going to get tired of you a little bit. At sometimes. So yeah, in those moments, and it doesn't have to be big or elaborate, but I'm gonna need my own room to go retreat
Can I throw
to.
something out there?
Yeah.
To that same point about you saying you being the only child, right? How foreign of an idea of it is, right? Especially if you're an only child, that you're going to move in with the person and spend the rest of your life with them. Like you're going to sleep in this, like you spend the vast majority of your life, if you lucky, sleeping in the bed by yourself, and you're going to commit for the next 40, 50 years to be like, we're going to sleep in the same bed, in the same house.
See.
Like, it's just,
It's
a totally new human experience.
It's a seismic shift, especially if he snores.
Shots!
Fire!
I'm joking, guys.
Because y'all feet and legs be just sprawled out all over.
Right, and y'all come out that bathroom not looking like how y'all did the whole day. Y'all come in here with this bonnet on, come out looking like a linebacker, come out the bathroom.
Not a linebacker.
I'm like, who is this?
What happened? My whole body type
That is not
changed
the
when I
woman
went in
that
the
I was with.
bathroom?
Whole body shape.
That was not the woman I was with. You take body wear off, body suits off, and everything.
Hey,
You know I'm going to get you, sucker.
I did, you know.
You look, if I'm here, I'm here.
Hey, I'm not saying I don't love you.
Indiscriminate man.
And this is
Look, if I'm on this bus, I'm riding.
Thank
I
you,
mean, look,
Manny.
hey, I don't say I'm in love, but you're not
Manny-
gonna come for me though.
Manny, you a
You're
rider.
not gonna come for me though. I love you. Get in this bed. We can make this happen.
You a rider, and I appreciate that.
No, I told y'all the best thing I did for myself was buy a sleep number bed. And yes, I have a dual zone queen. I'm not changing my settings for nobody.
She said she ain't even changing the other side,
Nope.
side that she doesn't
That's my
sleep
side.
on.
That's my side.
They both your side.
They both my side.
All right, well, I mean, y'all had some interesting thoughts about that.
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to figure out the right way to ask her.
She trying to segue is what's happening.
I'm about to have
the-
a mic malfunction.
Speaking of mic
We
malfunctions,
talking about
Speaking
busted
of
penises?
speaking of things that happen inside the home and whether or not we're in the same bed, I'm giving it a shot. I'm giving this.
go ahead. Go right ahead. Go ahead.
Speaking of things that happen in the bedroom,
I just
you
want to point
know,
out her eyes and got a little red. So
Right.
my eyes got a little
Yeah, we
red.
on demon time now.
I'm about to say.
You said it was gonna get dangerousing really fast.
That's drink number 3 over there.
Oh yeah, y'all. So you guys know how I do if you've listened to the other episodes. I did supply everyone with libations this evening.
And if you
they
listen real
wanted.
closely, like 5 minutes ago, she did just mix me a drink.
Yeah, take a sip.
Thank
see how
you.
that
Hold
tastes.
on.
We're developing a portable bartending podcast.
She had an emergency kit that she just broke open.
Listen.
It was very impressive.
Let the good times roll.
Listen.
It was just Mardi Gras the other day.
What is it? Les bon ton roulette?
You took French, not me. I took Spanish in high school. Thank you for trying.
Also, can we give a shout out to these shirts?
Yes, we did it on purpose.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did. We'll
Black
post some
men-
pictures.
I'm sorry, black man, I love you.
Yes.
Black women are necessary.
Amen.
Yes.
Can you buy these?
Yes.
This one I actually got from a
Merch coming soon.
100%. I actually got my t-shirt from an influencer, Indescribable. So it's INDESKRIBULL, Indescribable.
Okay.
What up? Yeah, look it up.
I got mine from, I think it was an outdoor festival here in Chicago. I either got it from a vendor at what used to be called the Hyde Park Brew Fest or
What used to be called the
Silver Room Block Party.
Right.
You need to do an episode of that, how that evolved. It was like, you and your homies go, and then like Keisha Cole or something.
Correct. Right.
It went from Hyde Park to 39th Street. Like
Right.
it just the evolution
It's
was
so many different
was
things. But thank
serious.
you for noticing the t-shirts.
But
black women are necessary.
Yeah.
I do love black men, and I want to know their opinions about the things that happen in the bedroom. Specifically, the 3 black men who are sitting in front of me.
That's a really good
was
segue.
smooth. Yeah,
You know.
That was very smooth, Mel.
Thank you.
I give it
you.
cheers.
Thank you.
Did you tell?
Here's my glass. Clank,
cheers.
clank.
All right. So,
So,
did you all happen to have a chance to listen to the Broken Penis?
Yeah.
Broken Bones.
Lord.
And
Not here, though.
you didn't hear Broken Bones. So let's catch them up real. You got to give a real
The very
summary.
abridged version
Yeah.
is that at 3:00 in the morning, a good friend of mine called me saying that she had broken a married man's penis in a motel and that she needed my assistance getting her car from the motel so that she could drop his car off at the hospital before his wife got there
To the hospital.
after his surgery, during which he asked the surgeon to give him a vasectomy so that he could tell his wife that it was a vasectomy gone wrong, to explain the catheter he would have to wear for a spell after the surgery to repair his penis. Is that abridged enough for you?
Manny looked like he got a headache.
Listen.
Like it was just information
That was a
overload.
lot to process.
Yeah, that is a lot to process. But that's where we're coming from.
Yeah.
So we shared that story on air, and let me tell you why we shared that story on air.
Is
Because
this a friendship episode? You're a writer.
this is called the one called Broken Bones. But we alluded to it in episode. I think that's episode 5. We alluded to it in episode 3 though, because I read an article about a study that the incidence of penile fractures increases around Christmas. So it was a part.
Joy to the world.
No joy like that found in the ER. So that's how we first got on it. And Holly was like, I actually have a personal story about this. So then we had the entire episode 5 where she recounted this very elaborate story about this situation that this friend was in.
I would like you brothers to thank me because I filibustered this question. Stay tuned for the
He's
next
like,
episode.
Well played.
and we're out of time.
Well played. Nah, we'll extend this one. I want to hear your thoughts. Have any of you been in a similar situation, or
Nope.
have you ever?
Damn, they answer fast.
Right.
Let me ask a different question. This was a thing for me. Before I heard this personal account of someone that this happened to, I didn't know that you could break someone's penis to the point that there's blood. Like, I know we can, maybe, bruise, maybe, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I hope
but
y'all
like,
realize, this is not a comfortable thing to imagine.
I told you.
I know,
You see that across my
I know.
legs.
With a kick in the vagina.
Everybody's,
How does that feel?
everybody's sphincter just
You know what I'm saying? Like,
tightened a little bit.
what?
It did.
It's tight sphincter.
Clench.
This is one of those painful questions where it's like what we try?
Like, y'all ain't got no sponsors, ain't no commercials.
Ain't it time for a break?
Hey, lifestyles, Mad News.
Look, King,
Listen,
somebody.
somebody.
Trojan.
Listen.
Band-Aid.
Sex sent me to the ER.
Sex sent me to the
Sex.
ER, yeah. So, but okay, so my question, let me back off a little bit and like make it a little bit less personal and ask. Did you know it was possible? I'm assuming y'all did, or did you not know it was possible?
I never knew you could break it off, right? Like, but also
Not to the white meat.
right.
Right.
But also,
Not
like,
to the white meat.
I'm not out here trying to ram my tools into a brick wall to figure out what, like, that just don't feel good. Like,
Right. Why would we even end up there?
Yeah, like
It
I don't
sounded
know.
like it was an age disparity.
No, actually it wasn't.
It sounded like homie had something to prove.
No, it sounded like she was probably doing a little bit too much because
Or both.
both. It's like, hey, slow your roll. I don't know what you trying to prove, young lady, but slow your roll. Calm it down. We gonna get to the mountaintop.
Or at least I am.
Speak for yourself.
But you need to slow your roll at this motel.
It was at a
But,
motel, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
slow down. Like, what is you? I've been in that situation where you're doing a little bit too much. You wilding. Chill out. Calm it down.
Right.
Like I said, we're going to get there. But, of course, the physical nature of, it's a muscle, it's an organ. So, of course, there's an option that, but that's never crossed my mind. It never crossed none of mine unless they kept it to themselves.
From
I
embarrassment.
don't know none of my brothers or my friends that does happening to.
I mean, honestly, like, ain't nobody aim that good to be yanking all the way out and then just diving.
Right. You got to.
Here's the
Apparently
thing.
not.
It happens more than you know, especially around the holidays, allegedly.
But why is it around? Is it because they drunk?
It
I don't know, or
could be,
people got time on their hands.
Ain't got
celebrations.
nothing to do
I'm
with-
happy.
ain't nobody that big.
Holly said she might do it if she
might do what?
definitely said she might be a culprit if she got
might.
a certain kind of Christmas gift. Like she would be committed to breaking that thing.
I mean, that's
I will give it the college try.
Like, don't nobody want it broken though. What are you talking
I'm not
about?
gonna break it, but I'm gonna listen.
Why are you even trying to break it?
I love to show gratitude.
Then show it by doing something.
Something less painful.
Right, like actually enjoy it. I ain't trying to go to the
Right.
hospital.
I don't need no woman come up to me. I'm finna break it off. I'm okay.
I'm about to break this up.
I'm okay. Thank you.
This
But
relationship is
no,
done.
but no, I really said that in the context of like we gotta stop giving such extravagant gifts where women feel like they gotta show their best gratitude.
Hold on.
They gotta
Nope,
give they
stop.
A plus grade.
Let's rephrase this.
I'm being facetious.
Oh, I was about to say, 'cause I ain't
He finna go in on her.
I
He
about
was
to-
like,
I
well,
ain't
hold
even drink
on.
that. No, I'm about to like, what are you talking about? Let's not do that.
Let's shift the conversation a little bit.
Okay,
right? 'Cause
sure.
I have female friends who, like, we have honest conversations, right? And let's shift this to a men's health conversation, right?
Yes.
Because
We actually
there
did try to get
are-
a urologist to talk about this.
Right, because there are far more men who will do all the whining and dining and get you to this experience, and nothing happens. And if I ever got to that point, right, like somebody might have to take me out the pasture, right? So, but there's also things that cause
Wait,
that.
no, Manny. I'm not gonna let you get away with that one. Back that up. Come rewind. Listen, what do you mean by take you out to pasture, sir? I need you to clarify.
You set yourself up for this.
Yes, you
Man.
sure did. What is?
You might have to put this old dog down. but you know the conversation to be had is that it's stress, right?
Yes.
Diet, alcohol, right? It's not something that just happens, right? It's something that lifestyle choices like it enhance, right? So we have to make sure that like there is a lot of embarrassment
Sure.
that comes with that, right? But
100%.
you know, if we're not taking care of ourselves mentally,
Mhm.
spiritually, physically, right?
That's real.
It-
And
it
I
can
will.
happen.
I'm not about ruining. I told you I don't say names on the podcast. I'm not about ruining anyone's life, but I have run into that.
Mhm.
I have run into that. Like it was a very real issue that came
Mhm.
up, and it was understandably very uncomfortable to talk about, and almost impossible to talk about, really, to the point where like I tried to have this health conversation a little bit one day. Now, granted, the context in which it came about was probably not the best, but I did try to have an actual conversation about it. And he was so snappy and short with me, I literally felt like I couldn't say anything about it
'Cause you
ever
can't.
again.
You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. Like, it's just like, I mean, men put so much, and this goes back to your point of, like, you know, mental health when it comes to men's health. Like, we put so much in that particular act and what men have to bring to the table, and it's our job to perform. It's our job to put it down. That's what the culture says. It's what society says. And if you can't do that, then you question yourself as a man. You question your you know, it's an insecurity issue. It's like, I can't, you know, I'm not a man if I can't put all this very, you know, in my opinion, very toxic masculinity to, in, you know, in a sense, you know. And I'm thinking of, like, do women have the same equivalent? Like, what's an equivalent for women of not being able to perform. In the bedroom? Because in my experience, y'all just kind of just, you know, show up.
I mean, at the very least, we know how to fake it.
Right.
Well, but you have some women who won't.
Oh, I won't.
Like, there are people who feel like that's not healthy for the relationship, for anyone to fake it. And so, like, they won't, you know, do that.
But there's also, I mean, when the mental health isn't there or the stress isn't there, like, they can't perform, or, like, you know.
Come on, episode 7.
Well, yeah.
Listen.
We did talk about mental health last episode,
but not to get too graphic, right? But, like, yeah, like, the performance, it can't be there, or they can't come, right? Because, like, it's stuff is so wrapped up in their head or whatever it is, right? Whether it's relationship-wise, right? And that's, like, the adult thing for me in a relationship, right, was I thought that, like, hey, you know, we can always go at it and get it. And it was one of those situations where, like, oh, I'm unfulfilled. Right? And I could do it, right? Everything works, but
I don't want to.
Right?
Yeah.
I know.
Because my needs not being met in other places, right? Which is like,
that's real.
So, like, what you know,
I know a lot of
like,
friends who are you know, who are man whores, and they have said over the years, yeah, I could do it, but I kind of don't want to after a while. It's like, I'm not getting anything out of this after a while, so what's the point, you know? And y'all having, the woman is having an amazing time, but I'm just sitting there like, okay,
I wish I didn't have to do this.
I wish I was gone. I wish I was doing something else, because there's more to it than that. And after a while.
Yeah, but I think my other question is, like, kind of building on, like, what kind of kicked this off is, if we put that much pressure on ourselves as men to perform there, like, what is the female equivalent? Because it's obviously not sex. So what is it that, like, within the relationship?
Well, I would say for me, it's sexiness. Right?
Oh, God.
Like, just, like, fulfilling that freaking fantasy, trying to thread the needle of, you know, the lingerie and the sexy talk and having the confidence.
I feel like there's a lot of, I think I know what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
And there's a pressure for a certain duality.
Exactly. It's completely that a lady in the street but a freak in the sheets, right? But it's hard to thread that needle because it takes a lot to be that lady in the streets. I'm not just a lady.
But don't men have that same expectation to be a man in the streets and a freak in the bed, right? To be able to perform that way, but also go out in the world and
see,
so the
want
difference,
a man to be like everything. They want a man to be like throwing it down in the bedroom, making 6 figures, being able to over 6 feet tall, being able to knock a dude down, being able to hold his own at the Cook County Jail, you know, being able to be a man of God. And
I don't want you to have a record, sir.
No, but I'm just saying. But I meant, like, being able to protect you and all that kind of stuff and hold it down. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's all
men in Cook County Jail are black.
Yeah,
right.
I'm sorry, 75% of the people in Cook County Jail are black.
Yeah.
So it's just like there's all of these expectations put on men of what we need to do. But
do you think that we put, because, okay, so you're talking about the expectations that are on men. We were talking about the expectations that are on women. Do you think that we are putting them on ourselves, or do you think that we're putting them on each other?
Ooh.
I'm going to go with both.
Okay.
So society's programmed this one.
Absolutely.
2, if I just think about, because I always go back to kind of like the era I was raised in compared to the era my parents were raised in and how they were trying to protect me based on the information that they had. So that takes a toll and weighs in on it, right? Because they're just doing the best that they know with the information.
Absolutely, yes.
And that gets portrayed on you. And then you've got, because you guys have your own expectations, like as we get into these relationships, you've got your own expectations. And the other thing for me that I think really complicates it is nobody knows how to communicate to one another about where the gaps or the alignments lie. and then that causes a whole other.
And why don't we know
And
how
that,
to
you know what,
communicate
and
to
I've
each
been
other?
thinking that goes back to, you remember back in the day when we were like toddlers, possibly, that men are from Mars and women are from Venus?
I read that book.
And you read the book.
Mm-hmm.
But it talks about how as men and women we speak different languages. But the older I get, the more that because I thought it was just a convenient like gimmick.
One thing that like fully stands out to me about that book was when a woman talks to a man about a problem, a man is thinking about how to fix it. And that's anything. Somebody tell me a problem, it's like, what role do I have in this? This is why you talking to me. And women want you to hear them, right?
Right.
And that was like, I mean, once again, I don't remember nothing else in that book, right? But everything I took away from it is still to this day of like, oh, a woman tells me a problem, I'm like, all right. And that's part of being a father to a daughter.
Right.
But like, no.
But I will tell
She
you
wants me to
this.
listen.
One thing I learned, especially after getting divorced, because my super producer Lewis hates for me to talk about this. But I really started paying attention to black men. And what I realized is that a lot of folks don't ask black men how they're doing.
Oh, absolutely not.
And wait to hear a response other than fine.
Yeah.
And so that's palpable. And so it's not just because I agree with you. For time immemorial, women are, I don't feel heard. You don't protect. You don't do this. Da 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 da. But like, I started thinking about it. Like, who's there for the man, for the black man?
That's so funny that you say that's another form of, in my opinion, of toxic masculinity, where it's like, well, you don't have to have no feelings. You don't talk about your feelings. You don't talk about that. And Sherry Shepherd, the talk show host and comedian, talks about the divorce she had with her husband when they lost one of their children. One of the things that she said that opened up to her and said, when we lost our child, everybody rallied around you. Everybody came to you, was like, how are you doing? Do you need anything? What's going on? And he said nobody said anything to him. Like it was just an expectation that he was just going to be okay, not piecing together, I also lost a child.
Right.
I didn't carry this child, but that doesn't negate the amount of love that you had and I had for this child. So nobody rallies around. We're just supposed to be okay.
And that's not, and this is the problem that I have with women, and black women specifically. And I'm not talking down to my sisters, you know I love you. But we don't take the time to ask our men, but then we're upset with the byproduct of that. Right? We're upset with the lack of emotional availability.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't ask how you are, then how have women created safe space for black men? And Miji is laughing his tail off. And that's one of the things that I try to do, is to create safe space.
But also, like, healthy habits take practice. So, right.
Fair.
We talk about men not knowing how to articulate their emotions, but like we also don't have a lot of practice at it, right? So like, but how you feel like
you asking me to do something I don't know? I don't know how to
have
do
the
it.
language right for it, right? So yeah, it's just something that it's going to take practice on both sides. Folks asking how, and also men actually articulating an emotion or being like, I don't know.
Right.
I'm confused, right, about how I feel.
And a lot of time, men, we respond similar to, and not trying to talk negative or derogatory towards black men, but we respond how children respond when they don't know how to articulate what they want to say. What do babies do? What do kids do?
Act out,
they act
throw a
out,
tantrum,
they cry, they grrr, they do all of that.
Yeah.
So it's like, because we don't know the words to use to show that I'm tired, I'm frustrated. And this is, speaking as a black man, I'm tired. I'm burdened. I'm
also
frustrated.
What's tired? Because this is a consistent.
Right.
I'm
always feeling.
No,
like
no.
this.
I mean, I agree with everything that they're saying. This, right? Like I went through therapy 2.5. I started therapy 2.5 years ago, and the main reason I did it was because I started to see a trend where I had these good women in my life that I was pushing away, and I didn't know what it was about me that was driving that, right? And so it boiled down to, one, when I felt pressured or uncomfortable, I didn't know how to articulate it, so I fell back on bad habits, which my actions then contradicted what I was actually feeling. I also just didn't know how to trust. And then so as a black man, I think like what everybody's kind of alluding to is the fact that we don't know how to articulate, because throughout our whole life, again, goes back to kind of like how we've been programmed and what we've learned. We've been told that you just have to deal. And people are you're always going to be on the short end of the stick, so you have to work harder. You have to kind of like always have your guards up. You can't show that you've been bothered in any form or fashion because that's looked at as weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, you've never really honed in on those skills, and then it starts to show up in every other aspect of your life, but you don't even know how to deal with it.
Can I ask you one question? What was the identity of your therapist?
White, actually. Which is interesting.
So I had a couple different therapy experiences, and like I had a very like disheveling custody situation with my daughter, and for the first time I had a black male therapist, and we was having a conversation, and I went through, I've been to therapy before, so I was like, here's everything you know. Bam, bam,
Right.
So like he felt the need to kind of like open up and tell me a little bit about his story. He was like, look, I spent 12 years in federal prison and I got 8 kids by 5 different women.
Oh my
I'm
word.
like, I can rock with you.
You got back.
You too?
Yeah.
I can tell you it's gonna like, send you like, be like, whatever it is, right? And I needed that particular therapist for that experience. So like, I just wanted to ask that question, right? Because sometimes it may be easy to be like, to go in a room with a white person and be like, here's everything that's going on, like, as a black man, and they just be like, yeah, and take it where you may not feel as comfortable sitting across from a black woman or a black man and talking about that experience.
I think you call out a good point, because even though I don't think this matters, well, no, actually I think it does matter as much. The thing with the white person that I was going to therapy with was they had a black spouse. And so she was really kind of drilling in, because she's like, look, like I come from, my husband is this.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about these things all the time. And it took me, she opened up and was like, it took me a while to really kind of sit back, process, think about what he's going through, how I can't relate to it, and what questions I needed to ask in order to be able to, not necessarily like help out, but just understand.
Right.
So like that was helpful. So yeah, like it was easier talking to her, because I do think what you're saying is like sometimes you feel like you're going to be judged when open up to your own kind, which goes back to your comment about safe space.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't always feel safe.
Okay. This is amazing conversation.
Absolutely.
And an amazing way to close our first season, friend.
Yes.
But I am excited because we got a part 2 coming.
We do have a part 2 coming. So
this is a season cliffhanger.
You got to come back for season 2 if you want to hear these gentlemen talk about some more things. Then we got some more questions for them. They got some questions for us. And I just want to say thank you to everybody for rocking with us for this our very first season of Dipped with Sweet and Hot. Friend, I love you.
We did it, friend.
Yeah.
Proud of
We
y'all.
did it.
Thank you. Thank you to
It's
Lorenzo.
a very surreal experience having like we listen to the podcast. Being on like your favorite TV show. It's like I always feel like I'm in the podcast.
Yeah.
But actually
In the podcast.
Yeah, you end it.
That's amazing.
So we're going to be back like we never left
Absolutely.
with these 3, and we're gonna have some fun.
100%. And if you would like to also be a guest on Dipped with Sweet and Hot, make sure you follow us on Instagram. It's spelled just like it sounds, Dipped with Sweet and Hot.
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok.
Facebook, all of that.
Facebook.
Grammatically correct.
Grammatically correct.
Okay.
There's a lot of student loans and degrees.
It better be correct.
It better be correct.
Okay.
Because my mama said,
my hard-earned education dollars at work.
At work.
Anytime I say anything that sounds halfway smart, that's her response. My hard-earned education dollars.
and my mama's response was,
Department of Defense paid for my education.
listen, my mama's response is, I paid for that.
My mama's response is, I paid all that money and you still
So, first of all, thank you to Lorenzo Rush, Olumiji Jones, and Manny Johnson.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Yes. Don't go nowhere. Y'all got to come back and join us in a little bit for season 2 because we got the same fellas here and we're going to have some fun.
I'm about to subscribe right now.
Yeah. Everybody go
I'm about to
subscribe.
make a TikTok just for
When y'all hear this, send me all y'all questions and I'll make sure to ask them.
Yeah. Miji is chair of outreach. Okay.
Subscribe on Spotify,
Apple
Podcasts,
all the platforms.
Yeah, listen,
Yeah.
Google, all
Google
of
Music
Don't-
and Google
don't
Podcasts.
Don't marginalize our Android friends. Don't marginalize those folks.
All
And
right,
on
y'all.
that note,
This is Melanie Lauren.
and I am Holly Chanel, and this has been the first season of
Dipped
Dipped with
with
Sweet
Sweet
and
and
Hot.
Hot. Bye.